What's up, guys? The title of this video is called Objectivity and Objectification. I'm really excited to make this video, especially talking about objectification, because in today's feminist movement, objectification has been specifically emphasized as a negative thing to do. Objectifying other human beings is very negative in today's society, and feminism has accentuated or placed a lot of emphasis on the fact that this is a negative trait. But I want to shine a positive light on objectification. Some people may ask, how can you shine a positive light on objectification? Any objectification of another human being is negative. But I would say not necessarily. I mean, I would say that it's impossible to detach oneself from objectifying another human being, because at the end of the day, human beings are objects that are sentient objects that have feelings and that are awake and that have consciousness. But some people might say that it's impossible to consider something that's sentient and conscious to be an object. Well, what is an object? An object is something that's made of matter. Matter is something that comprises a human being. So human beings are by definition an object. But the way you treat somebody is very important, and and I feel like that's what feminism is focusing on the most, in terms of treating somebody like an inanimate object, which is the negative. But I feel that even if you treat somebody as an inanimate object, but also have the knowledge that that person is an animate object, which has values and has humanity, is very important. Once the acknowledgement or the knowledge that, or the awareness that that person is a human being, as well as the other things that come along with being a human being, once that acknowledgement is gone, then that's when the problems start to manifest, and that's where psychopaths. That's what the main issue that psychopaths have, because they are almost totally devoid of emotion, in the traditional sense that it functions in a normal human being. They see human beings in a sense as objects. But back to the main point. So I want to talk about objectivity and objectification. First, I want to talk about objectivity. I want to define what objectivity is. Objectivity is almost it's a trait. Well, I'm going to describe it as a trait. Objectivity is looking at something from an external standpoint, as opposed to being in that position. So take, for example, its opposite, which is subjectivity. Subjectivity is basically describing something from your own standpoint. I see the color red, therefore I'm describing it as I see the color red. Objectivity is, if I was being objective, I would say that this is the color red, but I wouldn't say I see the color red. It will be that this is the color red. But also it will be more specific in my. I'll be more specific in my description. I'll describe exactly what the color red is. It's a certain wavelength of the photon. It's a certain wavelength of the photons which causes our eyes, the retina, to see it as the color red. But anyway, besides the scientific point, I just wanted to describe what objectivity is opposed to subjectivity. But now I want to talk about objectification. Objectification is treating something as an object, seeing something as an object through the eyes of an object, seeing something as an object and identifying that thing as an object. It's very, very simple. Objectification is that, and that is what objectivity is. So what do they have in common? So the reason why I came up with this video is because I thought that these two words are related to very rational modes of thinking, which means that one has to have a very rational mode of thinking, or be in a very rational mind space to be able to understand these concepts and to be able to utilize these concepts. So let's start with objectivity. To be able to see something as an object, one must be in a rational mindset, because you must be able to see something as its component parts, not necessarily as a sentient thing or through the eyes of emotion. So you have to be able to analyze it and break it down into its component parts, which may be a square, which is which, if I saw it from the eyes of if I saw it from an objective standpoint, a square is basically 4 different angles, which are 4 different angles. Or if I saw a hand, I might describe a hand as comprised of certain cells, which are comprised on the surface as of skin cells, which are made of proteins, etc. So you can understand the way an objective person might describe something as opposed to subjective. Subjectivity might just say that this is a hand, or I feel a hand, or whatever that may be. But let's move on to objectification. So let's talk about the objectification of a human being in a negative sense. Objectification of a human being in a negative sense may be describing somebody as a sexual partner, and that's pretty much it. a sexual partner, and reducing that person as to their usefulness to you, and that's why a lot of people, especially feminists, might see this as disrespectful, because when describing a human being, it's very important to describe that person in all senses with some form of respect central to them being a human being. So rather, as opposed to saying that person is a sexual partner, you need to say that this is a person. First of all, that person can be a sexual partner, as well as other things that boost that person's importance and significance as a human being, because human beings are in all senses significant in the world. Moving to I lost my train of thought. Moving to an objective standpoint. Moving to objectification in a positive sense. One can see themselves as an object of desire. Take, for example, an object of desire. When a person is going to the gym, they maybe realize that before they were too skinny or too slim to attract the mate, so they decided to go to the gym and improve their physical fitness and become more physically appealing, therefore increasing the chances of finding the mate. And therefore, they in the process of doing so, you have to treat yourself as an object. You have to objectify yourself to a certain extent, because you need to analyze your body from an objective standpoint and say to yourself, this is from a truthful standpoint, this is not good about my body. I have too much body fat there, I need to increase the amount of muscle mass here, I need to increase the amount of muscle mass here, I need to do squats to increase the amount of testosterone to allow my body to produce more muscle, etc. That's an objective analysis of the way the body works, and that is necessary to be able to develop yourself, and that is a positive way of looking at objectification. So I definitely feel like objectification isn't necessarily conformed to a negative connotation. It shouldn't be anyway. I don't feel like it's only a negative thing. It has negatives and positives depending on how you look at it. In terms of hurting people's feelings, it can be negative if you objectify people, but in terms of producing good results, in terms of developing yourself to reach a certain goal, it's definitely positive if you utilize it in the correct manner. There's definitely different social situations which might allow you to talk about objectification and for you to objectify different things, especially human beings. But for the main point, I definitely feel like it should be avoided to objectify human beings in a social setting. I definitely think it should be kept in your head. So that is my description of objectification and how it can be positive, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you want me to describe this video or anything in this video in more depth in another video, please comment below and I will be looking at those comments. And if you want to inbox me instead of putting in the comments, I will be in my inbox as well. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.